I 26F and my husband Alex, 27M, have been married for a year. Recently, I found out I was pregnant. This was not planned, however, ever since we got married we have not been using protection every time we got intimate and I'm currently not on any birth control. My guess is that I'm only a few weeks along, I haven't seen a doctor yet. Anyway, I told him when he got back home from work yesterday. I personally was very happy about it because I've always wanted to be a mom. I was pretty sure I was all smiles when I told him, and I thought he would be too once he found out the news. Let me add that he's been neutral on having kids. My assumption was wrong. Immediately he gets super upset and asks how in the hell this could happen. I explained to him that while it was sudden, we hadn't been using protection every time so it wasn't that surprising. I thought he would have understood. For some reason he didn't. After a few minutes of back and forth, he demanded a paternity test and told me there was no way it was his. I was hurt and insulted. Let me be very clear that I did not, and will never, cheat on my husband. I have also never given him any reason for him to be suspicious about me cheating on him either. I was so taken aback that he doubted my loyalty enough to ask for a paternity test. I told him I couldn't believe he was seriously asking me for that. He said that I wasn't helping my case, and that if I had nothing to hide, then I would take the test and prove my loyalty to him. I honestly can't remember all that I said, but I ended up saying something along the lines of, if you're doubting me and my loyalty so much that you think I cheated on you and got pregnant with someone else's baby, then I don't think I want one with you anymore. I don't want to be tied to someone who clearly doesn't trust me. He blew up at me and accused me of cheating once again. It was a big argument, and he said I was being shitty, dismissing his concerns, and saying that asking for a paternity test was valid. In the end, ! I agreed to the test, ! But said that I stood by my words. Had to highlight that because some people are saying that I didn't agree to it when I very much did. We haven't spoken since the argument and he's currently at work. I went to my friend for advice and she said that while he was out of line for accusing me of cheating, I shouldn't have said that to him over one of his invalid concerns, and that clearly had a reason to feel that way about the situation. I cannot fathom made him feel like I was cheating on him. I was just so hurt that he would insult me like that and accuse me of doing something so disgusting when I thought we were supposed to have trust in each other. But AITA for saying what I did? Edit, a lot of people are suggesting he got a secret vasectomy that failed, and that did cross my mind. During the argument I did ask if he got a vasectomy or was infertile and that's why the baby couldn't be his, but he dismissed that and continued saying it just couldn't be his without providing me a solid reason. So in that regard I have really no idea what to say. Edit 2, I feel I should elaborate on the a neutral about kids part. I told him while we were still just dating that no kids was a deal breaker for me. He said that was fine because his stance on it was that if we ever have kids, it's fine. If something happens and we don't, it's fine. I'm calling that neutral since I don't know what else to call it. So when I told him I was pregnant I thought he would be fine with it like he said. But apparently he just changed his mind about that and didn't tell me. And also, I have no issues with men wanting paternity tests, I just had an issue with him blatantly accusing me of being a cheater with no solid proof to back it up along with it. Update 1. Hi everybody, this isn't gonna be a super crazy update saying we got the test back and he got a secret vasectomy etc. etc. But it's kind of a big one. This might be a long post so I'll put a TLDR at the bottom. Thank you for everyone's kind words and advice. It was all super helpful, including criticism because it really made me reflect on my behavior and how I handled the situation. On top of that, I'm so sorry that I didn't really respond to any comments. There were a lot just coming in non-stop and it was a little overwhelming. Moving on. After I made that post and he came home from work, I cooked him his favorite dinner and let him relax a bit before I calmly approached the subject again. I told him that I was happy to do the paternity test, just that I was a little hurt that he would accuse me of cheating on him because I loved him a lot and would hate to make him feel that way. I also apologized for what I said. I asked him if he was just overwhelmed/scared from the news and that's why he accused me like he did. He said that wasn't it and that was genuinely his biggest concern. He then told me he wasn't willing to talk to me, say anything else, or negotiate about anything until after we get the test done. I asked if he was sure and he practically yelled at me telling me to drop the subject for now. So I did. And so things have been super tense. I'd been scrolling through comment after comment for what feels like forever. A lot of you said he was cheating. I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt and chalk it up to him being told he was infertile or something, but I ended up getting a really bad sinking feeling in my gut that I should check his phone. I never wanted to be the type of person that goes through their SO's phone obsessively for no reason, but my gut has never really steered me wrong so I did it last night while he was sleeping. I snuck his phone off his nightstand and went out to the living room. He's cheating on me. And if that wasn't bad enough, it is, indeed, with my friend I mentioned in the last post. Like a lot of you said. I guess it does make sense now that I think about it, but I'm still really shocked. I'd never been suspicious of their relationship before, but after reading the comments I realized her reaction was a red flag. I went through their texts, and from what I can tell it's only been going on for a few months and started after we got married. But really, I only focused on the text from right after I told him I was pregnant. He texted her saying things like, "I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to fudge her without a condom. She says it's mine of course, but I swear to God it better not be. I'll be happy if it isn't. Obviously I don't want a kid with her, I'd rather be with you than be stuck with her, you in this context being my friend. I know I should have been careful. I don't care if she thinks I'm a dick or an awful husband right now." This was his reply when my friend told him that I came to her about the situation. So, yeah, those were just a few messages, but their conversations were hard to read and I ended up crying a lot. I screenshotted the messages, sent them to myself from his phone, deleted the texts on his phone so it looked like he'd never sent anything, and then deleted the screenshots, and deleted them from the recently deleted folder. I also went on his laptop to check if they were deleted there too. From his texts I gathered that he did not have a secret vasectomy that failed, nor does he think he is sterile since he said himself that he should have been more careful and he doesn't know what he was thinking. I don't think he'd be saying that if he thought he was infertile. I also want to say that yes, he knows I'm not currently on birth control. And he was the one that decided not to use a condom, not me. I just agreed. I did not pressure him. At first he was pulling out, but occasionally he wouldn't. I don't know why he would continue not wearing a condom occasionally after the affair started. I'm guessing it was because telling me he no longer wanted to go without protection every time no matter what would make me suspicious. But that's basically it for now. I am not going to confront him about cheating right away. I am going to get the test, then confront him and tell him I want a divorce along with the test results. I mean, that's currently my plan, but my mind is also all over the place, so maybe that's not the best way to do this? I don't know. It's like 6 a.m., I feel like shit, and I haven't gotten any sleep. I almost forgot to mention that I am going to get an STD test just to be safe. I think I am going to get an abortion just because I don't want my first full-term pregnancy to be literal hell when it should be a happy experience. But thank you to everybody congratulating me. It means a lot. The next update will probably be after the paternity test, or whenever I feel like I need to update. Update 2, hey, everyone, I'm back sooner than I thought. Things have taken a turn that I didn't see coming, and I'm still processing everything. It's been a whirlwind of emotions, and I honestly don't know where to begin, but here goes. So, after my last update, I decided to stay cool and not give anything away. I played my part perfectly, acting like everything was fine while internally I was screaming. I booked the paternity test as planned and waited for the day. Meanwhile, I started getting my ducks in a row, looked into divorce lawyers, started packing up some of my stuff discreetly, and made arrangements to stay with a friend once everything blew up. Fast forward to the day of the paternity test. We went to the clinic together, and the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Alex barely looked at me the entire time, and I was doing my best not to throw up from a mix of nerves and disgust. The test itself was straightforward, and afterward, I told him I needed some space and that I'd be staying with a friend until we got the results. He didn't argue, just nodded and said, fine. That's when things started to get weird. The next morning, I woke up to a dozen missed calls and texts from Alex. I'm talking freaking out level texts. We need to talk, I'm so sorry, please pick up, etc. I wasn't in the mood for his BS, so I ignored them at first. But then he showed up at my friend's place, pounding on the door like a madman. My friend, not the cheating one, obviously, answered, and I could hear Alex practically begging to talk to me. Against my better judgment, I went out to see him. The second I stepped outside, he dropped to his knees like, full-on dramatic movie moment and started sobbing. I was so shocked I just stood there while he blubbered about how sorry he was, how he made a huge mistake, and how he couldn't live without me. Honestly, it felt like I was watching a bad soap opera. But then he said something that made my blood run cold. She threatened to ruin my life if I didn't end things with you. She? Who's she? Oh, right, my friend. I asked him what the hell he was talking about, and he spilled everything. Turns out, she had been blackmailing him for months. Apparently, she's a lot crazier than I ever imagined. She threatened to go to his job, make false claims against him, and even tell his family that he was abusing her if he didn't leave me for her. She was also the one who suggested the paternity test, feeding him paranoia and doubts until he didn't know what was real anymore. He was too scared and too stupid to see through her manipulations, so he went along with it, thinking he could somehow keep everything under control. But when I told him I was pregnant, it all started unraveling, and he panicked. That's why he acted like a complete asshole and demanded the test. He was terrified of what she might do next. Now, before anyone feels sorry for him, let me be clear, I don't. Yes, she's a psycho, but he's a grown-ass man who made his own choices. He could have come to me the moment she started this crap, but instead, he lied, cheated, and accused me of being unfaithful. I asked him why he didn't just tell me the truth, and his response was the most pathetic thing I've ever heard. I thought I could fix it on my own. At that point, I was done. I told him I wasn't interested in his excuses, that I was moving forward with the divorce, and that I didn't care what he did with his life from now on. But before I could leave, he grabbed my arm and said, "Wait, I need to tell you something else." Great, another bombshell. Just what I needed. He took a deep breath and said, "She's pregnant too." I couldn't even process what he was saying at first. It felt like the universe was playing some sick joke on me. Apparently, she had told him a few days ago, and that's why he was so desperate to talk to me. She's claiming it's his, but given her track record, who the hell knows? Either way, it's not my problem. I yanked my arm out of his grip and walked away. I didn't even look back. So here I am, sitting at my friend's place, trying to figure out my next move. I haven't decided on the abortion yet, but I'm leaning towards it. I don't want to bring a child into this chaos. I also haven't told Alex whether the baby is his or not. I'm waiting for the paternity test results, but honestly, even if it is his, I don't think I want anything to do with him anymore. As for my friend, I haven't confronted her yet, but I'm planning to. I want to hear her try to justify her psychotic behavior. Part of me wants to just block her and move on, but another part of me wants to see her squirm. TLDR, my husband's been cheating on me with my friend, who's been blackmailing him, and now she's claiming she's pregnant with his child. I'm moving forward with the divorce and figuring out what to do next. Update 3, this update might be a bit all over the place, but bear with me. So, let's start with the paternity test results. They came back, and as expected, Alex is the father. When I got the results, I felt a weird mix of relief and dread. On one hand, it confirmed what I already knew, no surprise there. But on the other hand, it felt like the final nail in the coffin of any hope I had for a clean break. Still, I was determined to move forward with the divorce and cut ties with him as much as possible. But before I could even process the results properly, Alex showed up at my friend's place again. This time, he looked like he hadn't slept in days, and he had this wild, desperate look in his eyes. I didn't want to let him in, but my friend convinced me to hear him out, mostly because she was worried he might do something drastic if I didn't. He practically barged in, and before I could say anything, he blurted out that my friend isn't actually pregnant. I was confused and asked him to clarify. Apparently, she faked the whole pregnancy to trap him. She knew I was pregnant and used that to her advantage, figuring it would be the perfect way to push him over the edge and finally get him to leave me. She even went as far as to buy fake pregnancy tests online and send him pictures of them. He found out she was lying when he insisted on going to one of her doctor's appointments with her. She kept making excuses, and when he pushed harder, she finally broke down and confessed. That's when he realized just how deep he dug himself into this mess. Now, you'd think that would be the end of it, right? He caught her in a massive lie, and that would be that. But no, it's never that simple. After she confessed, she went completely off the rails. She started threatening to tell everyone he was abusive, that he forced her to lie about the pregnancy, and that she was going to ruin his life if he didn't leave me and be with her. She even threatened to go to the police with fake evidence. At this point, Alex was a complete wreck. He was terrified she'd actually follow through with her threats, so he came to me for help. He begged me to talk to her, to make her stop, to somehow defuse the situation. He said he'd do anything to make things right between us if I just helped him out of this nightmare. I couldn't believe the nerve of this guy. After everything he put me through, he wanted me to clean up his mess. I told him there was no way I was going to help him, and that he needed to figure this out on his own. I was done. But then he dropped another bombshell. Apparently, she had been recording their conversations and saving texts as insurance in case he ever tried to leave her. And guess what? She had stuff that made him look really, really bad. He was scared she'd release it all if he didn't play along with her demands. He claimed that if she went public with it, it would destroy his career, his reputation, everything. I told him that wasn't my problem. But as soon as I said that, he got this crazed look in his eyes and said, "You don't get it. If she ruins me, she'll come after you next. She knows everything about us, and she's not afraid to use it." That's when it hit me, this woman is completely unhinged, and she's got nothing to lose. I realized that if she really wanted to, she could easily turn her sights on me, especially if she felt like I was the one standing in the way of her twisted little fantasy with Alex. So now, here I am, caught in the middle of this insane mess. I don't want anything to do with either of them, but I also don't want to be dragged down by their drama. I'm talking to a lawyer about how to protect myself legally, but I'm also considering going to the police to at least get this on record in case she tries to do something crazy. But here's the kicker: right after Alex left, I got a text from her. She knows I'm pregnant, and she told me she hopes I enjoy being a single mom because she's going to make sure Alex has nothing left to give me once she's through with him. She also said that if I try to stand in her way, she'll make sure I regret it. So, yeah, things have escalated to a whole new level of insanity. I'm not sure what my next move is, but I do know one thing: I'm not going to let these two psychos ruin my life. I'm done playing nice, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to protect myself and my future. TLDR, Alex's affair partner faked a pregnancy to trap him, then went off the rails when he found out. Now she's threatening to ruin both our lives, and I'm trying to figure out how to protect myself from this whole mess. Update 4. After that last update, I decided it was time to take action. I wasn't about to let my life be destroyed by a couple of lunatics. So, I met with my lawyer, who helped me put together a plan to protect myself legally. I also took the step of filing a police report about the threats, not just to have it on record, but to start a paper trail in case things got uglier. And oh, did they get uglier? I'll start with the fact that the police were more interested in my case than I initially thought they would be. When I mentioned that Alex's affair partner had recorded conversations and was threatening to release them, their ears perked up. Apparently, there were already a few red flags about her from previous incidents, something Alex never bothered to mention. They opened an investigation, focusing not just on her but on the entire twisted situation. Now, while all this was going on, Alex was spiraling. He was getting increasingly desperate, trying to keep his life from falling apart. He begged me not to press charges and even suggested we go to couples therapy to work things out, as if that was ever an option. I told him I was done and to stay away from me unless it was through our lawyers. But that's when things took a turn for the truly insane. A few days later, I got a call from the police. They wanted me to come down to the station because something serious had happened. My heart sank. I didn't know what to expect. When I arrived, they told me that the affair partner, in a last-ditch effort to keep Alex, had actually tried to stage an attack on herself, hoping to pin it on me. She thought that if she could frame me for assault, she could eliminate me from the picture entirely. But here's the kicker, she screwed up big time. The plan was so poorly executed that it was laughable. She left behind all sorts of evidence that pointed back to her text messages, emails, even the tools she used to fake her injuries. It was like watching a bad crime show where the criminal gets caught because they forgot to wipe the fingerprints off the murder weapon. The police weren't amused, though. They arrested her on the spot for filing a false police report, attempted blackmail, and a slew of other charges. And as if that wasn't enough, the investigation into her past dug up even more dirt. Apparently, this wasn't her first rodeo. She had a history of manipulating men and trying to extort them, but this was the first time she'd gone this far. It was only a matter of time before she cracked under the pressure and started spilling the truth about everything. Meanwhile, Alex was left in the rubble of the life he'd destroyed. His job found out about the affair, the blackmail, and everything else, and they fired him on the spot. He's now facing legal trouble of his own, not just because of the affair, but because he knew about her past and failed to report it when she started blackmailing him. Turns out, he wasn't just her latest victim, he had been enabling her behavior, thinking he could control it. Now, he's got nothing, no job, no money, no wife, and soon, no freedom if things keep going the way they are. And what about me? I'm free. After all the chaos, I decided to move out of the state. I needed a fresh start, somewhere far away from the mess I'd been dragged into. I finalized the divorce, packed up my things, and left with the paternity test results in my pocket. As for the pregnancy, I made the difficult decision to terminate it. It wasn't easy, but I knew I couldn't bring a child into this toxic environment. I needed to be free of it all. Before I left, though, I had one final confrontation with Alex. He came to see me, a broken man, begging me to take him back, to forgive him, to help him through what he was about to face. But I just looked at him and said, "You made your bed, Alex. Now lie in it." I walked away from him, from the life we had, and from the hell he dragged me into. And I didn't look back. I got into my car and drove away, leaving everything behind. It felt like I was shedding an old skin, finally free of the lies, the betrayal, and the drama that had consumed my life for so long. And now, I'm somewhere new, starting fresh. I've got a new job, a new place, and a new sense of peace. It's weird, but for the first time in a long time, I feel like I can breathe again. The chapter of my life that was filled with Alex and his madness is finally closed, and I'm ready to write a new one. As for Alex and the affair partner, I don't know what happened to them after I left, and I don't care to find out. Their story ended for me the moment I drove away, and I'm more than happy to leave it in the past. Let them deal with the consequences of their actions. I've got my own life to live.